Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarini. I offer my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, especially senior Vaishnavas, humbly seeking your blessings, so that by your mercy I am empowered to do this service which has been given to me today. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha padita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we are continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, which is entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized. And we are on verse number 45, which goes like this. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Atmavan Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Atmavan Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Atmavan. Mataji's? Word for word, Traigunya, pertaining to the three modes of material nature. Vishaya, on the subject matter. Veda, Vedic literatures. Nistray Gunya, transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Bhava, be. Arjun, O Arjun. Nirdvandva, without duality. Nitya Sattvastha, in a pure state of spiritual existence. Niryoga Kshemaha, free from ideas of gain and protection. Atmavan, established in the self. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjun, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Please repeat. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjun, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties, for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Purport. All material activities involve actions and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. Arjun, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where, in the beginning, there is Brahma Jignasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are part of different Vedas, as the Bhagavad Gita is a part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life. As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities, such as happiness and distress, or cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragdatan Vitam Tam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So now Krishna is further explaining to Arjuna how he must get free of the material bondage. For any work in this material world creates bondage. It creates a reaction and further entanglement in the material energy. Action produces reaction, which produces further reaction or action, and so on. And this entanglement has been continuing for many millions of lifetimes, since time immemorial, when the soul fell down from the spiritual world with the desire to lord it over and enjoy this material energy separate from Krishna. From that point onwards, which we cannot even know where and when it happened, this entanglement has begun. So Krishna is urging Arjuna to rise above the three modes of material nature and be situated in the pure spiritual self. Now this is not possible unless one surrenders to Krishna. Daivihi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam itam tarantite. This divine energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. But one who has surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. And Srila Prabhupada describes it very nicely. He says it's as easy as crossing the whole ocean of material existence. Now, what's an ocean? It's so huge. We cannot understand how deep it is, how vast it is. This whole ocean of material existence becomes reduced to the water contained in the hoof print of a calf. And anyone can easily, even a child can step across such a small little, not even a puddle. So that's how easy this process becomes because one has surrendered to Krishna. But we are not in that mood of surrender yet. Because we are conditioned, we still rebel against Krishna. And therefore, to that extent we have not surrendered, to that extent we are tormented by the material energies. What are the three material energies? Haribo. Just trying to see if you're awake, that's all. Thank you. So these three modes which cause us to behave according to that particular mode we are in, because we are like puppets. We are being pulled this way and that way by the modes of material nature. But Krishna is urging Arjun, come on, rise to who you really are. Be situated in the self which has nothing to do with the material energies. But as long as we don't surrender, Durga Devi is there with her trident. She's giving us, jabs, pushing us towards Krishna by what? Adidaivika, Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, the kleshas of living in this material world. What is Adhyatmika? Difficulties and miseries arising from one's own mind and body. That's enough for us in this Kali Yuga to finish us. Because there are so many distresses now which are causing people to go crazy, even sometimes take their life. It has become so difficult just to live in this world given the state of affairs now. Extreme misery is resulting from the state of affairs of Kali Yuga, Adhyatmika. Adibhautika, kleshas or miseries caused by external agents such as insects, enemies, etc. And Adidaivika, that is calamities caused by the demigods in the form of natural disasters. When you get your plane cancelled because of something, they say, oh, this is an act of God, right? We cannot do anything. We cannot give you refund, we cannot do this. If our plane malfunctioned, then we can give you a refund because it's our fault. But this is an act of God. So we are seeing so many natural calamities today. Again, this is reactions that we are receiving due to sinful activities. Hurricanes, tornadoes, forest fires, earthquakes, terrorism, plagues, all this epidemic, pandemic, so many wars, pestilence, all this is reaction of all our sinful activities coming back to us through the demigods in the form of these natural calamities. And everyone suffers from these things. So this is the nature of living in this material world, certified by Krishna as Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Everything is temporary, everything is miserable. Okay, so this is the reality of living here. But this is actually the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So this is actually, we are going through a rehab program. We are learning how to serve Krishna. We are learning to rise above the three modes. We are learning to get situated in the self. We are not there yet because we are here. We are in the conditioned state of existence. But by following this process, by staying true and faithful to our vows, slowly we will find ourselves getting more and more detached from ideas of gain, loss, free from anxieties that go with the dualities of this material world, and begin to experience peace. Srila Prabhupada says, how can you experience any happiness without peace? So first we must become peaceful. which means we must rise above these three modes. And to some people, it may appear impossible, but Srila Prabhupada is urging us, especially in a very beautiful purport. Let me read it to you. 14th chapter, verse number 20, he says that by rising above this, you can experience spiritual nectar even in this material body. Let me read 14:20. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. And this is such a nice purport. It encourages us so much. So I'm going to read it out for you. How one can stay in the transcendental position, even in this body, in full Krishna consciousness, is explained in this verse. The Sanskrit word Dehi means embodied. Although one is within this material body, by his advancement in spiritual knowledge, he can be free from the influence of the modes of nature. Haribol! This is the best news, isn't it? He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life even in this body, because after leaving this body, he is certainly going to the spiritual sky. But even in this body, he can enjoy spiritual happiness. In other words, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the sign of liberation from material entanglement, and this will be explained in the 18th chapter. When one is freed from the influence of the modes of material nature, he enters into devotional service. So, this whole process of Bhakti Yoga is to help us to get free of these material modes of nature, to get disentangled. Now, how can we get disentangled? Only one who is free can free us. And who is that? That's the spiritual master, who is the mercy manifestation of the Lord and who has come to deliver the conditioned souls from the cycle of repeated birth and death. He is the emissary of the Lord who has come down from the spiritual world just to give the knowledge of the spiritual world and to encourage the fallen living souls to come back to Krishna. Even in the Bible, there's that beautiful parable or story, I don't know what is the right word, of the prodigal son. How many know of that story? Yeah, it's a very illustrative of how eagerly the father is waiting for his child to come back to him. So Krishna is just like a loving father. He's more anxious to bring us back to him than we are to go to him. Yeah, this is true. He's trying all the time to remind us, this is not your home, come back to me. So Srila Prabhupada would say very often, Krishna is more anxious to bring you back than you are to go to him. Because we are so enamored of this material energy, it is very hard for us to let go of any kind of enjoyment here until we get that higher taste. We were talking about that yesterday. Because we do not have a higher taste, we are constantly trying to seek something in this material world. And as long as we have this enchantment with the material energy, it will be very difficult for us to call out sincerely, Hey Govinda! Like Mother Kunti says in her prayers to Krishna, Akinchana Tvam Gocharam. What is the first line of that verse? I forget. It's 1:8:26. Mother Kunti's prayers. She says, the last line is Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Idamana Madapuman. Thank you, Maharaj. Idamana Madapuman. Naivarhat Yabita Tumvai. Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. One who is trying to improve himself. By what? by material emoluments such as improving bodily beauty, getting a high education, or trying to connect himself to some famous lineage, or trying to acquire any kind of position in this material world, he cannot call out feelingly, "Hey Govinda." And then Srila Prabhupada explains, only one who is materially exhausted, that means he is fried in our American slang. He's completely fried with the material energy. He's completely frustrated, tried everything, and finally throws up his hands and says, "Hey Govinda." Only at this point we can really call out feelingly to Krishna. That's what Mother Kunti says. And this is true because unless we come to this point, we will not take spiritual life very seriously. We will take it as a fad, or, oh, it's something nice we do on Sundays, but the rest of the time, I've got my own program to enjoy this material world. So it is the very rare soul who comes to this bhakti yoga. As we see over here, there's karma kand, fruitive activities, trying to get some material benefit out of activities. There's jnana kand, through mental speculation, trying to achieve liberation. But upasana kand, or bhakti kand, is the highest of all. And we'll see in the next verse how Srila Prabhupada explains that ultimately, what is the thing that we need to do in this age? Simply chant, Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The purpose of all the Vedas is to know Krishna. And in this age of Kali, the only means for self-realization, which is also God realization, because to the extent we are God realized or Krishna realized, to that extent we are also self-realized because we know ourselves in relationship to Krishna as his eternal servant. That's all. What is that? Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyah vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham. In the 15th chapter, 15th verse of the Gita, let's go there and I will read the exact translation. I am seated in everyone's heart. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedas and the knower of the Vedas. I hope I got that right. Let's see. So, Krishna is explaining here that ultimately we have to know Krishna. Yes, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So Srila Prabhupada says, to know him is to love him. Because Krishna is all attractive. Sham Sundar. We sing early morning, isn't it? Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute with eyes like blooming lotus petal, with his head decorated with peacock feather, with his figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue rain clouds. Such a beautiful picture. Just hearing these words, you go into rapture, thinking of Krishna. So beautiful, beauty personified. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barahavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Millions of cupids cannot compare to Krishna's beauty. He defeats the beauty of even millions. So attractive, so beautiful. And therefore we come every morning to see Krishna, to gain darshan. And the Lord has mercifully come in this form just for us to worship him, to connect with him, to get to know him, to know what pleases him. And in this age of Kali, what pleases Krishna? Anyone would like to answer? Hare Nama Madhuram madhurebhyopi mangalebhyopi mangalam pavanam pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Hare Nama eva kevalam Hare Nama eva kevalam. So this is a beautiful verse from the Kevalashtakam. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Very beautiful description and glorification of the holy name of the Lord, which is the mercy manifestation, more merciful than Krishna himself. Has come down just to bring succor and relief to the living entity who is burning in the fire of material existence. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava maha davagni nirvapanam Shreya kairava chandrika vitharanam vidyavadu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna sankirtanam. So we have a very easy process. We are not asked to do exhaustive study of the Vedas, which are really impossible in this age of Kali. Who has time, energy, or even the acumen to study Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, Upanishads, Puranas, Itihasas, Shrutis, Smritis? I mean, it's impossible. Even if you think of it, it's a mind-boggling task. So, Vedavyas has combined everything and taken the essence of the Vedanta Sutras and given us the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada, in his mercy, has translated the Srimad Bhagavatam just for the Western mind to understand this deep knowledge which was impossible before to even access, leave alone understand. So this is the mercy of Prabhupada, who stayed up late at night until 1, 2 o'clock. No, he would sleep at 10 o'clock, wake up at 1 o'clock, and keep writing for us, just to have this knowledge. Srila Prabhupada said, my books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. And my disciples should know my books like the lawyers know their law books. So this is how we must study Srila Prabhupada's books, scrutinizingly. Srila Prabhupada used this word, scrutinizingly. That means very deep study of Srila Prabhupada's books, because then we will get a very good grasp of the philosophy. We will gain conviction in proceeding on this path of bhakti, and when the tests come, we will not fall by the wayside, because we will be taking shelter of the process of bhakti. Yes? Tatte nukampam susamekshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvagva purvir vidadan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadaya bhak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly awaits your causeless mercy, all the while patiently suffering the reactions to his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Haribol! So this is the promise. See, all these words in the Shastras are to encourage us, to give us faith, to give us hope, to give us strength, to give us conviction, and ultimately to give us the ultimate, the abode of the Lord, which is our home. The spiritual world is how much? 3/4. And this material world is just 1/4. It's a very tiny portion of God's creation. And here we are in this little 1/4 and thinking we are the greatest. So actually, real knowledge is to understand we are so small, teeny, tiny. Prabhupada said, what you can understand with your teeny, tiny brain? Very small. But by the mercy of the spiritual master, everything becomes revealed to the sincere devotee who's trying his best or her best to satisfy the spiritual master, to satisfy Prabhupada, to satisfy the Vaishnavas, the predecessor acharyas, and therefore to satisfy Krishna. Yasya prasadad bhagavad prasado, yasya prasada nagati kutopi, dhyayan stuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam, vande guru shri charana ravindam. Only by the satisfaction of the spiritual master, one can satisfy Krishna. And if the spiritual master is not satisfied, then Krishna is not satisfied. So satisfaction of the spiritual master is the only means of success. One must satisfy the spiritual master. How is the spiritual master satisfied? By closely adhering to the instructions, by keeping our vows, and by following the process of bhakti yoga as sincerely as we can. So, the entanglement of this material nature slowly will become less and less, and we will get situated more and more in our natural position, which is loving servitorship to Krishna with pure, unalloyed love and devotion. So this love is not a small thing, because this love which we have with Krishna is real love. That is the only love that is real. All the rest is facsimiles, or you can say Xerox copies. And only actually when we develop that love for Krishna can we truly love everyone. Once, one devotee was saying to Srila Prabhupada, everyone loves you. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, because I love everyone. Because Srila Prabhupada loves Krishna, and so he loves all his parts and parcels. So we are very conditioned. So we have likes, we have dislikes. I like this person, I don't like this person did this, that person. But the self-realized soul is unaffected by all the waves of this material existence and is situated in the self. And therefore, he can remain peaceful and happy even in the most difficult of circumstances, because he or she has realized the self. So Krishna is urging Arjun and all of us through the words of the Gita to reach this point. So I wish you all the best in Bhakti Yoga, and I humbly request you to ask questions, share your realizations, or criticisms. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, Bhakta Doman.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the lecture. So you were speaking about how Prabhupada requested that all his disciples scrutinizingly study his books. So what are some of the guidelines, how we can do that? What can we do during the day that we can really absorb ourselves in reading and really get the most out of it when we do it?
Yes, reading Srila Prabhupada's books is actually essential for growing in our spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada said, unless you read my books, after some time you'll just eat and sleep and fall away. So that's how important it is. So first we must resolve that I want to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Second is to make time. That means schedule a time to read and make that time sacred. Because time, as you know, is just fleeting. It goes very fast. So unless we make a special effort and make a scheduled time to read Prabhupada's books, we will not be able to do it. There'll be so many pressing things. Something or the other will always come in the way, because Maya is always ready to catch us. So we must look at our schedule, and we must carve out a time where we devote to just reading Prabhupada's books. We can also hear, but reading is actually better. Sitting with the book and focusing on Srila Prabhupada's words, because Srila Prabhupada is there in his books. He said, I will live forever in my books. And we are gaining direct association of Srila Prabhupada by reading his books. We're getting the direct instructions, the knowledge, the purification. Everything is happening as we are reading. So reading is extremely important. So making the time to read, And it may be difficult to do it by ourselves. So it's nice to have a reading group, to have 2-3 devotees, 3-4 devotees, even 2 devotees coming together and sitting and reading something. And even if it's for a short time, if we make a small beginning, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that will slowly expand. Sometimes we think, oh, Prabhupada said at least 3 hours every day, at least 2 hours. But at least let's make a beginning with 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something. Because it's hard to suddenly jump from 0 to 2 hours or 3 hours or even 1 hour. So just taking small baby steps, but resolving to keep that time for reading will help us to form a habit. You see, to form a habit is a difficult thing because we have so many bad habits. So to form a good habit means we have to push through all our conditioning. So making an attempt and then repeating, practicing every day, having a reading group, or even discussing with someone after you read. Maybe their timings don't coincide with yours, but you resolve, both of you. Say you have a friend, and you say, okay, you read this chapter, this verse, I will also read, and in the evening when we both have time, we can discuss what we read and share your realizations. Srila Prabhupada said, every day, write something of your realizations, because that's what will stay with you. What you have read, share with someone. And the best way to remember something is to teach someone. 90% of what we teach, we remember. That's the best way to remember something. So these are little steps you can take, and then once it's established as a practice, you will find you will want to read little more. You will feel more eager. Oh, let me look at this reference. Oh, Prabhupada is referring to this verse in Bhagavad Gita. Let me look up that verse. So then your reading expands. Say you're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, then you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, then you read Ishopanishad. So then it stimulates you to read more. And once you gain that taste for reading, you will find yourself getting very enlivened, and you will find that whatever you're doing has more meaning. It resonates more, it makes more sense, and it increases your faith and conviction in the process of bhakti. Is that helpful? Would Maharaj like to add something, Maharaj? You are very merciful, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Anybody else has any questions or comments? Ladies are very quiet today. Nitya Seva? Okay, thank you.
I can have one question actually.
Sure, please take the microphone.
I was thinking that when you said about if somebody is aspiring to have some, let's say, want to become a famous person in the world or something like that, so unless he gives up these kind of desires, he cannot actually surrender to Krishna. So I was thinking that...
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay, but complete your question.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. You could correct me. Maybe
No.
I'm wrong. Yeah.
That's okay. Complete your question and then...
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking that there are also some devotees who are, we can say aspiring devotees or devotees, who are like famous people in the world. I know one lady devotee. She plays the violin. She's really famous for that. And but she's still an initiated devotee, and she still practices pretty nicely. So I was just, I was just thinking how it kind of goes.
Yeah, it's not a deterrent. Whatever opulence we have been given, we can use that in Krishna's service. When George Harrison came up to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, should I shave up? Should I join the temple? Should I, become the regular devotee? Prabhupada said, no. You stay in the music world. You will make a significant contribution through your music. And he gave him personal instructions on how to use his musical abilities to spread Krishna consciousness. And George Harrison's music has impacted so many people's lives. You know, My Sweet Lord, Here Comes the Sun. You'll not believe this, I will just share this incident. Yeah, here comes the sun, I say. It's all right. 2020 and till 22, COVID was going on, right? So this is America. I was in New Orleans. And every time, this was told to me by one of the hospital personnel. She said, she was a nurse. She said, every time a COVID patient actually got cured and went home, we would play Here Comes the Sun. She's not even devotee, she doesn't know anything, but they would say, they would play this song, Here Comes the Sun. So George Harrison's music is and will continue to impact even future generations. At least personally, I know several people who told me that My Sweet Lord was very, very significant in their spiritual journey to change their minds towards finding out more about God. So fame, money, opulence, wealth, position, power, influence, some special ability, talents. So what? You use it in Krishna's service. That's all. Right? So it's not a deterrent. It doesn't mean that we have to become, if I'm wealthy, it doesn't mean I have to first become poverty-stricken, then only I can be Krishna conscious. No. You just use that wealth. Look at Ambrish Ford. He's using his immense wealth to help the movement. Srila Prabhupada said, first he made him buy the Fisher Mansion in Detroit, and now the TOVP. So we can use whatever we have been given in Krishna's service. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah, I mean, I totally believe about the Beatles because I distribute one, like, chant and be happy the most. I mean, and it's
because,
like,
yes.
They all take it. As soon as I say this is, you see Beatles, we have like a conversation with Beatles in this book and they immediately take it.
Right, right. Because the world, likes famous people. For some reason, they have caught the fancy of the public. Yadyad achariti shreshtas tattad eva tarojana. Right? Whatever action a great man does, common men follow. So therefore, actually, people in big positions have a big responsibility. Of course, they themselves are so degraded, what can they do? But if they are God conscious, what an impact they can make on the world, like George Harrison did. Today, Ambrish Ford, Peter Burwash, he's a big Fortune 500 businessman. He's using his talents to serve Krishna. He's written many books also on leadership and so on. So like that, whatever we have been given, we just use in Krishna's service. It's coming from Krishna, and so it should be given to Krishna. Nice question. Thank you.
Thank you for answering.
Anyone else has any questions? Comments? Criticisms? Mukund Madhav generally has something. But saying nothing this time. Okay. All right, maybe later. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj ki